All right, you guys, time to rise and thrive. It is Monday. We're here live every Monday, 12 p.m. ish Central Standard Time. The purpose of Rise and Thrive, of course, is to bring you positivity and to help you in the four basic pillars of what we believe is most important, which is faith, family, finances, and fitness. And with all of that, we are, of course, usually talking about real estate because that's what I do for a living. And most people that jump on here with me are in the real estate space with me. So today I am super excited to bring Carlos in. I didn't know Carlos a year ago. And because of our connection with Realty of America, we became fast friends. I have massive respect for him. He comes from an amazingly huge success story in real estate. He and his wife, so family run business, over $1 billion in sales. You heard that with a B, billion. And so I need you guys to pay attention because the real estate industry, if you haven't paid attention, has gotten really, really challenging. Some markets are in an extreme seller's market. We're in the Texas market where we're not in an extreme seller's market. We've been in quite a different market now this is our fourth year actually. And so there's a lot of mergers, there's a lot of acquisitions, small companies going with big companies going with big companies. And we're going to kind of walk through a little bit of what Carlos thinks about that and why he's done what he's done in his career, how he's done what he's done and what the future. So welcome, Carlos.
Thank you so much, Tricia. I'm excited
Heck
to be
yeah.
here.
For those, Carlos, that don't know you or don't know your story, kind of tell everybody where you are in the world, how long you've been doing what you've been doing, and what your role is.
Yeah, I think first of all, I always want to give thanks to God, right? Because we wouldn't be where we're at if it weren't for Him. I believe
No.
He opens and closes doors. The funny thing, my background is I did 25 years of urban youth work in South Phoenix, and we're originally from Arizona. So we were in ministry, for many years, worked with youth for many years, built a lot of systems in that arena, working with youth and delegating and kind of doing so many things there. My wife is actually the 20-year veteran in real estate. And our career in Arizona was, she was the one that actually really did the most over there. I was just, I did the open house, put the signs up, I did the marketing, I was kind of in the background, doing all
Yeah.
that. But when we moved to Dallas in 2019, that's kind of where God kind of took the wheel and He changed some things and He closed some doors and some unexpected things. I was actually thinking of doing jumping into a team here to do youth work as well because we were new to the city. Our goal was eventually to do real estate, but as you need a warm market, right? To be successful in real estate or at least to be able to provide for your family, and which we didn't have at that time. We were brand new. Moving to Frisco, Texas at that time was a bucket list for my wife and I.
Wow.
And so we took a big step of faith and we put a date. It was actually May 19th. So we're just on the precipice of our seventh year in Texas. And we put a date to come out here, and it was crazy because when we got here, it was never what you think it's going to be, right? And we got to a point where our savings was like dwindling down, right? For almost a year without working and just learning the city. It got to the point where it got really scary for us. It got really scary for us, and then we were like right when COVID happened in 2020, everything shut down. We're still looking for a place to be, to get going. It got to the point where my wife and I started Ubering, and
Really?
her and I were Ubering. I didn't know the city at that time. She didn't know the city at that time. It's crazy. Like we learned the city for real estate doing Uber in
That
that
is crazy.
in that season. And it was a crazy season because I think it was a very pivotal season for me myself, always being, you know, kind of safe, with where we were at before, in Arizona. And I went through this crazy depression, really bad depression, actually. because I couldn't believe I was Ubering. Now I think very different of Uber, but at the time, it was very hard for me.
I
Um,
bet.
and, I was like, man, we came to Texas. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Like what did I do? And going through COVID and the shutdowns and everything that was going on. My daughter was working at Starbucks at the time. She was actually helping us with you know you know paying bills and little extra stuff because we could not land a place. We could not land a job at that time. And
Wow.
my whole career, I have no education whatsoever. Like I don't have a high school diploma. I don't have a GED. I don't say that proudly. But my whole life has pretty much been ministry. And
Wow.
so that it was very hard for me to find a job here. And then again, it's hard to find a job that was gonna, pay me what I needed, to
Sure.
support my family and our lifestyle the way we were accustomed to. And through Uber, just driving around the city, learning the city. God opened some tremendous doors for us. My wife actually, she got a job at a new build community all of a sudden. So then she was running 3 communities. That gave us some breathing room. I decided, hey, I'm gonna get my real estate license. So I was Ubering and I was studying for my real estate license while I was waiting for a car for clients. So I'd park at the airport, they have these waiting areas, and I'm
Yes.
sitting there with my laptop, and my mind is just all over the place. Like I'm Ubering, I'm studying to get this real estate license in Texas. Texas is different than Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was a trying season for us.
Were you
And
like talking to God? Like what kind of signs were you showing me here? What have I done?
the whole time, I think once I had gone through this depression, it got really bad. Like literally, I convinced myself I was worth more dead than I was alive because
I hate that.
I
Ugh.
had a tremendous insurance policy on myself. And I think it was just a multiple of things. I hit rock bottom. And doing urban youth work for 25 years, I've been on the other side. I've walked with the families, I've been in the hospitals, I've been there in the deathbeds, I've been there in the jails, I've been there in the really rough seasons. And I was always the one that was helping people get out of that season, encouraging them. I was the one that was, praying for their families. I was the one that was, checking up on them. And then I found myself in that position myself.
Wow.
And I never forget. I had bullets in one hand, and I had a Bible in my next hand, and I was just sitting having a conversation with God at the top of a garage there in Frisco, Texas. And I felt that I was at my bottom lowest point, because every single I couldn't get past HR because I didn't have an education.
Oh,
And I kind of felt like the prior 40 years of my life was erased, because I,
yes.
I I was groomed for ministry. I was groomed to to work in the church, and you're going to be a pastor, and you're going to be this, and right. And I just couldn't accept and believe that I could not find a place. I had stacks and stacks of letters of recommendations. I had so much experience. We had done so many things in Arizona. And then to come to a place where no one even knew who I was. And it got depressing for me.
Did
But
you think about going back to Arizona? Like maybe you shouldn't have left?
it did cross our mind, but we knew that, we're Naomi and I are not quitters, and we're not the people to go backwards. We will never go backwards. Every step that we take, we'll take it forward. So it was we had to there was no plan B. Like
Yes.
this had to work. Um, and
Did
in
Naomi know how depressed you were, how far down you were?
Yeah, you know what? She was my rock the whole time. My wife, like, we're gonna celebrate 27 years married this,
I love that.
we're gonna celebrate 27 years at the CEO Mastermind event that we're gonna have with
I
the
love that.
show. That's actually our 27th year anniversary. And she has been my rock that whole time. She just continuously, you know, she sees, I think from the beginning, she saw something in me that I could never see for myself. Sometimes I still don't understand, what it
Yes.
is. And the whole time, she was like, baby, we have to be proud of ourselves. Like, this is our proudest moment. We're teaching our girls that we will do whatever it takes to make things happen, to get ahead. And it was her strength. It was her still respect to me as a leader. Obviously, I think for me it was like understanding I was the leader of the house and the situation that we were in,
Yeah.
right? Apart from the emotional part of pulling your family, away and starting something brand new. A
The
part
unknown.
going through COVID was like we didn't know what was happening, right? We thought
No.
it was Armageddon, right? We thought it was the end of the world, and I'm like, we're in this new city, we know nobody here. And God opened some tremendous doors, and I believe there's a lot of seasons that happen in people's life. And I can say he never left us. Like he never left us. And although it seemed like everything was going to an end, it was actually the beginning of something amazing. And these last, 5.5 years that we've been doing real estate here have been just a tremendous season for us. And I know it's only the beginning. I know there's
Right.
so much more. As you say, a friend of mine had called me about a brokerage that was opening new in Texas. And it's a referral brokerage where everything was, it's really high on referrals.
Okay.
Really heavy splits. Splits are ridiculous. But at the time that we didn't know anybody, it made sense for us, right? And I will say after that season, once we joined, I got my real estate license by the end of, I think I actually got licensed in the end of September. I started with that brokerage in October. Our
Of
first
2020.
of 2020, yeah.
Okay.
This was the end of 2020. And our first year with them, 2021, we closed 78 deals,
Crazy.
my wife and I. And what happened is that my wife was like, "Man, if this is real, I'm gonna leave the new build community, right? Because it's a cage, it's a golden cage, right?
Yes.
It's gold, but it's a cage."
Yeah.
And together we decided to say, "Hey, let's build our sphere. Let's build our name, our brand." And we just had a nonstop commitment to succeed and not allow anything to rob us. Like I want to say, when I went through my depression, I came out a different man,
Uh-huh.
and I'm so glad for it. I had to break myself. I had to unlearn. I had to accept what wasn't, and be grateful for where I was, but also understand that hey, I'm walking into something new. So I had to rebuild myself. I had to rebuild the way I think. I had to rebuild, and I had to trust. Man, this was the hardest thing. Trisha, the hardest thing is that I had to believe in myself,
I bet.
which was, in ministry, things are different. And I obviously I still believe that God's grace is on our life, right? It's not,
Oh, it
it's not,
is.
yeah, He's the biggest part of it. But I think like in ministry, we ride on that, right? And when you come out here into the corporate world and you come out here to the business world, you have to believe in yourself as well. And in the church world where it's pray, right? Trust in the Lord. Out here, it's pray and act and action and work hard and do put your part, right? And so when we started our doing real estate here, first year 78. The second year we worked about half the time and we still closed about 78. We bought our house. I would have never thought I was buying my house so soon coming into Texas.
And
And
Frisco is a very affluent area.
it is,
Yes.
it is. I think maybe if I would have came somewhere else, we probably would have had a lot more of our savings. But yeah,
Yes.
but it's, we're so happy. Beautiful city.
Oh, yeah.
We love where God brought us. And
So
bought our
did Naomi leave the new construction and
house
join with you?
within a couple of months. She was like, yeah, I think she only lasted maybe about a month and a half more. And she was like, no, let's do this. 2nd year, we did another 78, almost 80 homes. Then they asked us to be, if we, because it was a new company, brokerage, they asked if we were willing to build a team. And it's crazy because we're like, okay, let's do this. Like I mean, we don't know how, we don't know
Right.
nobody, like we were so focused on working, we didn't, really network a lot. But people at church, we connected with some people at church, and actually someone that was sitting in our row, and like me, I talk to everybody. Like I'm always talking to everybody.
You do.
Since we were new, it's like, hey, we introduced ourselves, we let them know who we were. Turns out, she was a real estate agent that had our license for maybe about 5 years, but really wasn't doing nothing, had really no transactions. And we just told her, hey, like we're building something special, and we went and just organically started adding people to our team. Like I think within the year, we were already about 12 agents that were part of our team. And then we just started growing little by little. Then some transitions happened with the designated broker, and my wife, 20 years in the business, at that point, I think she was probably like 16 or 17 years. And she was like, she's always wanted to have a broker's license. And, but where we were at, it really made no sense to have the broker's license, at that time. But then when that position became available, she was like, I'm gonna do it. And she took out her broker's license. She became the designated broker for Texas.
At
And then,
that point, do you remember how many agents that brokerage had?
well, when we came into JMG, it was new to Texas. It was, I want to say it was barely in its first year.
Okay.
And there was probably about 12 or 13 agents
Okay. So
on the team.
small.
Yeah, it was very small. Most of it was Fort Worth heavy. They were on the Fort Worth side, and we were way in Frisco, which is
Okay.
North Dallas, North, um, so very far. And so we started building the team over there. Then it kind of like transitioned. When that broker stepped out, some agents left. We kind of just gathered whoever was left, and then we just began to build.
Mhm.
Uh, Long story short, recently when we left before we transitioned here, I had over 52 agents on my team here locally. And then my wife, obviously the designated broker for Texas, so we had over 100 agents throughout Texas. So
52 agents on a team is a lot.
it is. One of them was in Amarillo, and then there were two other women that were with us in close to Tyler, like the Tyler, Texas area, and everyone else was there local. So we covered Fort Worth, Dallas, and because it was really strong referrals, we were able to do a ton of business, and we got to a point where it got really comfortable, and because obviously you're doing a lot of deals,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, people see the numbers. Yes, there's big numbers there, but we were paying very high splits, like really high splits, for that. And as from the moment we stepped into leadership there, our state became number one. I think every single year after till now, we've been number one. We've took the top in volume, top in units. At the beginning, I remember our first year, we were on the Real Producer magazine. We had the cover story, my wife and I, about our story and our transition. And yeah, we were able to serve and help a lot of clients.
What do
Um,
you attribute? Because at that point, once the COVID market ended, once interest rates started going up in 22, there's a lot of people that almost haven't sold a home since then. So, what would you attribute this massive success to in a market, especially in Texas, that was kind of contracting?
um, where we were at was very they were partnered up with a lot of different lenders, like big lenders, so it was partnerships that they had, and now that I look at things in retrospect and kind of when we gauge and we look at where we're at now and the differences, although the numbers sound really good and they look, obviously they look good on paper,
Sure.
right? But when you are accustomed to receiving referrals always, it becomes a trap for you. It becomes a trap because now SOI, you're not building your own sphere, right?
Yeah.
You're dependent on whatever they're giving you. And then on top of that, now you have to kind of babysit. And that broker's transition from being agent minded first to partner minded first. And it was now more about, the numbers and the margins and making sure that the partners, we were
Oh, yes.
performing for them. And that became a golden cage. My
Yep.
dad used to always say, hey, it's gold, but it's still a cage.
Uh-huh.
And we found that a lot of agents could not do business outside of that because they focus so much on, we called it babysitting the referrals. And then at the same time, you're paying, they're only staying with maybe 28% when it's all said and done.
Wow.
The percentages after splits, after fees. Um, and they spent more time chasing the referrals and doing the referral work that they didn't build their SOI. They didn't build their own book of business. And the challenge when you work with a referral company like that is that all of that business, all of those clients will always be their clients.
Yes.
Even till today, they will always be. We did over, in the for the last years that we were there, every single client, my local team in Dallas, we did 659 deals for 2025 for,
Huge number.
yeah, $203.8 million dollars, right?
Crazy.
When 97% of that is all referrals, and I can't connect with any of those people. And if I do sell, like say they reach out to me and I sell them a home, I still owe a referral back to that
That's
company.
crazy. Is that forever?
That's forever. That's forever. And that's the small print that people don't read when they get excited and they join a brokerage,
Yeah.
right? And you never think you're joining something brand new. Your mind isn't thinking about exit strategy.
No.
Your mind is thinking about now. And those it's in the contract there. So like every single referral, will always belong to that brokerage. And what I found is that, we were building an empire for someone else.
Yes.
We were working so hard, like, you look at the numbers, you look at the accolades, you look at, you know, everything that we did in the last 5 years in the leader as leaders in that company. And none of it goes back to us, right? None of it goes back to, the leaders that are building. We've seen these tremendous acquisitions that just happened where those at the top level make decisions that affect thousands and thousands and thousands of agents,
Oh, yeah.
right? And, you know, in that transition, I think like when I met Eddie and, we both spoke at the Mindset Summit,
Yep.
which was a big event there. That was probably the first year. I want to say there was close to maybe about 500 agents that were in that
It is a
place.
big one.
Yeah, it was a big one. And I heard Mark and Eddie's story. I didn't know who they were. I just heard their story and I was just like, wow, that is amazing, right? Uh,
Yes.
and I met them there. And it's funny because Eddie and I we had a courtship because we started following each other, on social media. And he liked my stuff, and I like his stuff, and I would comment, and he would comment, and we had some dinners, and it took me about 15 months to make our transition over.
Wow.
But I do want to say something is that although we had the success that we had, um, I wasn't building legacy at that time.
No.
I was an employee for a company on the 1099. If that makes sense.
Yes.
It was, we're just building, 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 working, working, working. And I kind of got wind that they were going to sell, that they wanted to sell the company, and they actually tried to sell it. We didn't have enough agents at that time. And that's really when I started, my wife and I started thinking like, look at what we've done. Look at how much work we've put into this. And then someone at the top level comes and makes a decision and it's gone from us, right? And then they
Yes.
come in and they put their corporate leaders and things change and business is a business. And when I met Eddie and I heard his story, I think just a light bulb went off inside of my head about, man, look at all this time that we've been building someone else's kingdom. And what happens to us. And I think, and that's why I created the CEO Mastermind, because I think that agents are so transactional,
They
and
are.
and agents don't think about an exit strategy. They don't think beyond the transaction. They're groomed and they're trained to just chase the next transaction, the next transaction, the next transaction. And that's great as long as you're transacting. But once it stops, then the money stops as well.
It does.
You get hurt in the process. I mean, you got recently, you hurt your, you hurt your leg. I was telling you, I was remembering because when I saw you with your cast at the Thrive event, I had just tore my calf muscle. And I was out. I literally out for a little over a month and a half.
Yes. It
Sitting,
makes a difference, doesn't it?
it is the worst, right? It was the worst. And when agents are transactional, yes, they'll get a trophy. Yeah, I got a bunch of trophies,
Yeah.
but trophies won't, pay bills, and trophies won't give you the lifestyle that you want to live, right?
No.
And when I met Eddie and I heard his story and I saw what he was building, I told my wife, I was like, this is a tremendous opportunity for us to take everything that we've done, all the knowledge, all of the experience, and put it on ourselves and bet on ourselves.
Yes.
Naomi and I had something really good where we were at before. And when people ask me, it's like, why in the world would you leave that? Why in the world, and they even go as far as asking, well, what did Eddie give you? What did they
Oh,
promise you?
yeah.
And I said, nothing. Eddie promised nothing. What he did was he gave me an opportunity. No titles, no names, no nothing. It was, I have an opportunity for you. And
Because didn't you and Naomi both leave like positions that were paid per se there at your former brokerage?
yeah, so I was a division, I went from, so when we built the team, became division president, then I became a regional vice president. I mean, I had bonuses. She
Yes.
had bonuses. When she became the designated broker, yes, she had a salary.
Yep.
And then on top of that, bonuses.
Yes.
So, we had something good where we were at,
Yeah.
but then again, it was day and night work around the clock, right? Like you're managing agents and you're you're building something, but you're not building for yourself, you're building for someone else.
But
And
most people stay there, Carlos.
they stay stuck in that because they don't believe in themselves. Like I struggled with myself. Again, it took me 15 months. Like when I hear Victor Nino's story, and he was in a 13-hour talk and he made the move, right? No questions asked, right?
Yes.
Mark and I hear those that came over and they came in at the beginning. It's like it's amazing. But for me, it was very different. Like my story was very different, and so it took me 15 months of just like, hey, we got something really great here. Are we gonna step out of this? Are we gonna start from the bottom all over again? Like, are we actually gonna go down to zero?
Yes.
I have a strict, very strict non-compete and non-solicit, right? Like going through lawsuits or whatever right now. And I knew that. I knew that stepping away, if we're walking away from this, we're walking away with nothing.
Yes.
And we're starting from scratch.
Because you couldn't, like, and most of the times you just go and take your team with you, but you couldn't do that, right?
Nope, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. And I knew that. But I want to say something on the inside of me. This is where faith in action really, people could talk about faith and people can say, and it's always easier to talk about it than actually step into it. But this was the one of those moments when I had to believe, I had to believe and trust that God was in this, and I had to believe and trust myself to say, okay, you did it over here with the referrals, you did it over here, yes, it was great. Can you walk away from that and start from the beginning?
Again, because you'd already done it when you freaking
Yeah,
moved to Texas,
yeah. Can you can
Again.
you can you start over? And that was probably the biggest battle within me. I probably had about, man, maybe 6 or 7 different dinners with market.
I
with
bet
market.
it's a
Every
big
time he would come to
deal.
Dallas, he was like, "Hey, I'm here," and obviously I really respected and really, love and respected him as a friend, as a business colleague, as just like from the first day I met him. So excuse me. So we'd go to dinner and he'll tell me the plan. And I'm still thinking this. I'm thinking of what we have over here, because I didn't come from I don't understand the rev share or that kind of model. It
Yes.
never interested me. Obviously, I knew who EXP was. I knew who Real was, but that was something that did not interest me. I didn't want to become a recruiter. I didn't want to become a person that just focused on just putting people in an organization and that's it. So that kept me. I never went to any of those, other brokerages that offer something similar. But it was something different about Realty of America, where I trusted and I believe that it is agent first. And the opportunity to work with Eddie and to build something special and to believe in myself and to believe in us, to go ahead and start from zero, right? And to do it. And man, I was so nervous. Like my wife and I were so nervous about making that transition.
I'm sure.
And I want to say actually when I actually announced I was on my way to Houston to the Thrive event.
Seriously?
We were driving from Dallas, my wife and I, um, and it was in that transition. I wanted to make sure that I made my announcement
Wow.
in January.
Yes.
It was the end of January, and we were driving on our way. So like your event was the first event that we went to where we kind of like, hey, it's official. Like I'm over it now. I'm family now, right? Now
You
you
were. I
know.
met you at the dinner that night.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Yes.
was that was our first event. But I want to say that I believe it's so divine. Um, and whatever you believe in, those that are watching, whatever you aspire to, I believe that there is divine connections. I believe that there's seasons in your life that you have to go through. And those seasons are not so that you can stay there. Those seasons are there so you can learn from them, so
Mm.
that you can take and that you can build because your next season will be better. And that's kind of like where I took our journey and everything that we learned and everything that we did. I know our best days are still ahead of us.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
we have the opportunity, to build people. And people ask me, "Hey, will you ever pastor again?" You know, I believe I pastor now in the context of real estate because ministry and what we're doing today, it's about people.
It is.
It's about helping agents think bigger, build bigger. It's about helping them help themselves and help their families. Eddie told me something that really stuck with me. He says, I could have retired and I could have went and had a great life for, myself and I had nothing to prove. Obviously he had built something tremendous here in
Oh,
Chicago.
yeah.
And he said, but you know, I wanted to help other people like you win. At that time, I think at that time when he told me, he said he wanted to make like 50 millionaires, right?
Yes,
I think now it's like 1,000 or
it
whatever,
is.
whatever number it is now. But at that time it was 50.
Yeah.
And and he said, I want to help others win as well. And he told me, he looked me in my eye and he says, I want to help you win. I want to help you succeed. And I gave you my personal commitment to help you do that. That meant a lot for me.
For sure.
That meant a lot for me because everywhere else I went and everywhere else I've been, I had to prove myself. Like I had to prove my worth. I worked so hard. I sacrificed so much to always get that appreciation, right?
Yes.
From
Yep.
from from whatever leaders and always I was always really insecure. I've led with a heart always from the beginning, but I was always insecure. And when he spoke that into me, like just something on the inside of me, just like let me know like this is where you need to be. And we made that change, and I can say that from that moment even to now, I mean, it's been tremendous. The mind shift, the just the different ideas, you know, the platform of connecting with so many more agents, like through the CEO Mastermind, because I want to make sure that I disrupt the mindset of I need referrals, I need referrals, I need referrals.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
That is the biggest. I mean, if you jump on the Facebook group pages and you see the masterminds, you see, I mean, with the group, the what's it called? Is it mastermind, the real estate one?
Oh, I know what you're talking. The Facebook group.
Yeah, the Facebook groups. Like
Yeah.
everyone that jumps in there is, where can I get referrals? Where can I get
Yes.
referrals? And coming from a company that is all referrals, like, you know, I say it's such a trap. It's such
It
a
is.
trap for agents because, they become lazy, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it is that concept of, are we going to continue to just be having to give people fish, or are we going to teach them how to fish? Are we going to make them tremendous fishermen? Because once they understand the concept of fishing and they know how to fish, now they create a system behind it that will give to them forever, not just to themselves, but to their legacy, to their
Yes.
generation, over and over and over. And I made a commitment to myself. If I'm going to come to a place like this and I'm going to build something, and I'm building something for it, I'm building my legacy, right? Like, this is not just about me. This is about my children and their children and their children.
Yes.
Broa gives me that opportunity where
Yes.
other places didn't, because I
No.
was just building for them.
When you sit there and you talk about the referral business, I 100% agree with you, because if you look at the referral companies, their their split on it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the agents, like you said, they become so lazy and so addicted to it that
Yep,
they forget how to function on their own, or they think they can't do it on their own, or they're lazy, they're like not willing to do the work on their own to make a quarter of the money that they could make.
that's right. And you know what we found out? That's that what happens is that they're in fear of leaving. They stay stuck. They stay stuck in that routine,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
and then they become comfortable with it. And when you're comfortable with something, you're never going to build nothing great being comfortable.
No.
You're never going to build nothing great without putting in the work, without making mistakes, without putting a high floor. I've been studying this book, The Science of Scaling, with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and
I've heard of that one. I haven't read that.
it
I
is
need to
a
read that.
tremendous book.
Okay.
And he talks about, a lot of people's floor is too low, and they operate from a low floor. And he said, the higher you put the floor, meaning your floor is where your standards are. If your standards are here, then you're always going to measure up to that.
Yeah.
This is your bottom floor. This is where you're going to stay at. But if you put your bottom floor like way up here, now your standards are all, very, very strong.
Yes.
And then this is where you scale, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people, I look at this and they still don't dream big. They still don't think I can lead a team.
No.
I can be a leader. I can build something. All of us, what is the best way to grow wealth? To have some kind of passive income, right? Where passive income is something that you get deposited in your bank account while you're asleep, right? Where
Yes.
you're building and you're rewarded for working hard. But a lot of people, they don't believe in themselves. You know, they don't think they can do it. They don't think they can do more. And because they don't think they can do more, they don't do more. You know,
No, they don't.
if we go Bible, the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Whatever a person thinks about themselves. A lot of people are struggling, complaining about what they don't have, and they need to start about thinking about themselves, of what they can do, believing in what they can do, believing that they can have a massive real estate business, a massive organization, believing in themselves that they can create a system that will give to not only themselves, but give to their future generations. And I think a lot of people are so limited in their thinking, right? You're limited by what they told you can do. and then you stopped dreaming right there.
Do you think your environment plays a lot into that?
100%. 100%.
Do
100%.
you think that you would have, you talk about this being divine, do you think you would still be where you were had you not spoke at that mastermind and met Mark and Eddie?
100. Okay, so let me say that. I believe God opens tremendous doors,
Yes.
and you know, God's in control of it.
Oh,
But what
yeah.
I've always been I've been very careful and intentional about the rooms that I'm in. And so if I'm at an event, it is intentional. If I'm
Yes.
connecting with something, it is intentional. I've been that way since the beginning. I had so many tremendous open doors open for me in Arizona in the context of youth ministry, because I was very intentional about who I was with, where I was at, who I was connecting with. And I think you're 100%. Your environment has a lot to do with your growth. You
Yep.
know, I can take a pound of orange seed and spread it in the Arizona desert, and that seed will never give fruit because it's in the wrong environment.
Yes.
Even if it gets watered, even if everything is perfect, that environment will not allow that seed to grow. But I take that pound of seed and I go throw it in Florida because it's in the right environment. I really don't have to do a lot, right?
No.
And I think the environment that you're in is very important for the way you think. A lot of agents, and I'm going to talk about this at the mastermind. A lot of agents are looking at what to add to their business, but they're not looking at what to remove from their life. People are so focused on, I need to add this, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that, and adding more, and they think that if they add more, that they're going to do better. And I think it's quite the opposite. Agents need to start thinking, what do I need to remove from my life so that I can succeed? What do I need to take away from my time? Like a lot of agents, if they calculate how much time they actually spend in real estate and they compare that to, working at a 9 to 5, right?
Yes.
They're 40 hours, 60 hours in their business. But yet they're complaining about not having the success. They're complaining about not having the numbers. They're complaining, oh, the market is horrible. Hey, the market is this. And it's always blame, 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 right? But
Yep.
they're not focused on, hey, what can I do in this market? What can I do different? What can I do that no one else is doing? And it all comes back to the mindset. And that's why the environment that you're in and the people that you surround yourself with is so important because they're going to shape the way you think.
They are, and they do.
I mean, having a conversation with Eddie changed the way I thought.
Yep.
It opened up, it unlocked something. It unlocked something not that I didn't know what legacy was, not that I wasn't working hard for my family all my life, not that I wasn't making sacrifices so that, my family could succeed. It unlocked a different level that it just all made sense. And ever since my conversation with him, ever since coming into his ecosystem, our whole mindset has changed. Not only has our mindset changed, we've changed. And we stepped into something and we're building something. And we're not building for us, we're building for others. We're building to see other people win. We're building to, create a pathway for them to follow. And I told Eddie, him, hey, you're breaking through walls and you're creating a pathway for all of us to come follow you.
That is so cool.
And it's amazing, it's amazing. And so we're excited, we're grateful for where we were at, but we are uber focused on where we're going. And
do you have any regrets, Carlos? You were like, we're moving to Texas, we're leaving everything that we're comfortable with, we're moving to Texas. You end up like, I didn't know that you guys rode Uber. Like, I didn't know that story. So, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. Like, that's one of the things I love so much about this is it's unedited and unscripted and no one has any idea what's going to come out. And I already had such respect for you guys anyway, but that to know what you went through, and you never gave up, and you just continued on, and then you get into this position and role, both of you and Naomi, where you're like living the good life, living life large. You'd come from nothing and built greatness, and then you get this a new idea that I'm going to start over. We're going to leave this comfort zone and do it again. Do you have any regrets?
That's what it's all about. I think, a lot of us agents get comfortable. We get comfortable with what we've done.
Yeah.
And comfort is dangerous. Comfort is dangerous because it doesn't allow you to cross a threshold. There's a threshold in success that once you cross it, now it's just about multiplication.
Yes.
But if you're comfortable, if you're playing it safe, if you're not willing to take that step, then you won't understand it now, but later on you look back and you'll regret it.
Oh yeah.
And that was something that I didn't want to regret. I didn't want to miss the opportunity, to be a part. And it got to the point where I told my wife, like, I feel that, one day Eddie's gonna stop texting and calling. Because I said no so much, right?
He's gonna give up on you.
And it had nothing to do with him. It was all about me. It was all about us. It was all about, being afraid of walking out of something comfortable. It was about us, right? To make sure that, hey, do you believe it? And I will say, to a certain point, it was like, hey, I didn't believe in myself enough to do it at the beginning, and once I did, once it unlocked here, I told my wife, like, I think that we need to make our decision very quick. And obviously I don't want to repeat another 2025.
Right.
Yes, 25 looked great on the numbers, right? And we had a very successful 2025.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to repeat that. And I told her that, hey, I think that it's time for us. And I think obviously inside of us, the brokerage we were at have shifted drastically from what it was. And as you say, referrals just got more expensive and more expensive, transaction fees. And it was more about proving the numbers so that they can sell, so, the ones that took it were, the leaders that were building it, right?
Yes.
And then the agents that it's built upon the back of those agents. And I told my wife, it's like, there's gonna come a day he's not gonna be calling no more. And for whatever reason, it took me 15 months, but I'm glad. I know I'm at the beginning still, of this tremendous corporation and brokerage, and the fact that I get to work with people like you.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, when I saw you in Palm, Florida, oh, that was y'all the highlight of my trip over there. I thought I was by myself. But
that was so unplanned.
Yeah, but you guys are such great people.
Right back at you.
I love your chemistry. I love, how focused you guys are. You guys have a tremendous work ethic. And I know that there's a lot that I can learn from you, and
right back at you.
I'm super excited just to be a part of this. When we went to Thrive and we saw the caliber of the excellence that we saw, and then just the community, we were like, this is amazing. It's like we walked into a ministry, not to a not to a brokerage, right? Because
yes,
it's the people at Realty of America that make us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the leaders that are here. It's not, a name is just a name. It's the people.
It is.
That's what makes it so special. That's what makes it different, and we've been around for a long time, and we've been around a lot of people, thousands and thousands of people, in the context of ministry for years. My father-in-law had, the biggest Spanish church that, we were a part of and we ran. We have radio stations, so we were in front of thousands of people always, we were on TV, we did all kinds of different things. And, when you're on so many people, you get to learn how people are. And I will say there is something special here at Realty of America. Not because I'm here, it's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because of what's special here. I would not be here, right? I wouldn't put my family through, what we've went through, especially going through, a season that we went through to say, hey,
Yes,
I'm gonna go do it again. Like,
right.
yeah, let's go, start all over from scratch. Um, but it's about the people that are here. And when you get around the right people, the right things happen. When you get around the right people, you start thinking the right way. When you get around the right people, the right doors start opening up. So we feel strong as much as it's for our business. We feel to a certain part it was a spiritual move for us as well
Oh my
to
gosh,
to
yes.
align and to be a part of this and to build with great leaders and to bring our talent and our flavor and our color of who we are. I'm a very colorful person. I love color. I love.
Says Naomi.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, we're big on that, and I think that any color that we can bring to wherever we're at, that's kind of like our mission. So now here as growing and now Naomi's one of the managing brokers for Texas,
Yes.
and it's great. She's talking to agents every day, like every day she's talking to agents, and
Is
you
she
know
loving it?
yeah, she is. It's obviously almost 900 agents, so it's a
Yes,
lot more than what
a
it
lot
was.
more.
But Jessica and the team, like they're amazing. And
They
I
are.
hear their dialogue. I hear how they, even when they're going through tough things and how they work together. So we're super proud to be where we're at. We know that there's just tremendous things ahead of us, and the opportunity to build with you guys for reals. It just, we're super honored. We really are.
Now that you've left that other model that you were in and you've joined Realty of America, so you're new at this. You're like at month 5 pretty much. What does your vision look like now for the future, your family? Like now, have you thought about like sat back and thought, now that you've been in it for a few months enough to kind of see what you're capable of, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think for right now, it's our foundation. Building a foundation is very important, wherever you're at, right? Your
Yes.
foundation and how you grow. A lot of people want to go fast, and they think that fast is good.
Yep.
But I'm very careful on how I build. Obviously, when you've come through and you've come through really hard situations, you don't want to jump really quickly.
No,
I'm really focusing right now on building a strong foundation of, understanding the concepts of, what this is, building our SOI. I mean, we literally walked away with no contacts of everyone
nothing.
everyone that we worked for, right? Like all those people we served. So we're starting from scratch again.
Yes.
But I do appreciate the systems. I do appreciate everything, the tools that Realty of America offers us, so that we can go ahead and create those systems for us. Right now, I'm kind of building my lead team, if you want to call it that.
For sure.
Um, so I haven't really gotten big on, hey, building the organization. I'm focusing more on building leaders right now. And
Yes,
I think leaders build leaders,
they
right?
do.
And that's my focus right now because I know once we develop that, growth is inevitable, that part. But you do not want to grow unhealthy. And I think
No,
it's really important that you grow healthy, that you are healthy when you're small first, and then grow from that rather than just growing a lot and bringing a lot of people on, but
for
yet you're
sure.
not healthy yet. Because that creates all kinds of other problems.
Yeah.
And now you have more people exposed to the mess, if you want to call it that,
And
right?
it is.
It is. And then they walk away from it. And then now you're having more people say, oh yeah, I tried that, but it wasn't,
Yes.
stuff together, right? And I
Yes.
mean, people will always be people. When you work volume and you work with a lot of people, you'll always have people that have something to say, right, that don't like it. But for me, it's being very intentional about building my foundation, building my team, pouring into them, understanding the systems, understanding the tools that Realty America has offered, tremendous training everywhere. I
Yep.
mean, there is no excuse for training.
None.
There is a tremendous amount of training in every single style, in every single, different times. There is no excuse, and I love that Realty of America provides that. they provide a space in every different way and context that agents can thrive. They can come be a part of it. They can do it at their time. They can pick and choose. They're not committed to, hey, you have to do it only in this.
No.
They have full freedom to build their destiny and to
Yep.
build it the way they want to. And we have tremendous leaders. Like there's no silos here. They can. My team could jump on the Tricia Turner show, and they can
Totally.
and learn and I think that's amazing.
It's
It
super
really, it
cool.
really shows what this company is about, and then what the leaders of this company, how they lead and what they do. So
They lead by example.
I'm the new kid on the block, just trying to nudge my way in and do something special. But everything that I create is I create it for you. I create it for everyone else as well.
I love
This
that.
little mastermind and what we're doing, that's for everyone. That's for all agents. I don't care where you're from, and I leave it very open.
So let's talk before we have to end. Let's talk through the CEO
Yeah,
mastermind. That's coming up. We are. So I was like, oh my gosh, holy crap. So, and that's coming up Thursday, right?
It is this Thursday.
So what is that? Tell us.
America's Real Estate Show obviously took the show on the road.
Yes.
And Ashley has been doing an amazing job just interviewing agents. And after our event that we had, the CEO mastermind that I had, she's like, hey, well, why don't we make this America's Real Estate Show a special edition of that? And the venue is a tremendous venue at the House of Blues. Like it's going to be like a whole event. So I'm excited to be able to kind of share my story, kind of what I'm doing here, in front of 200 agents, and
yes,
give them an opportunity to just come into the ecosystem, to come into an atmosphere.
Yes.
When you get in the right atmosphere, something changes, and we want to be a part of creating that always. So yeah, we're excited. There's gonna be a whole like a red carpet, there's an after party.
Oh yeah, Mark Demas will be there. He told me, I talked to him the other day. He's like, I'm gonna be in Dallas on Thursday.
He is, but it's gonna be great to connect with agents from all over, right?
What time does it start?
It starts at 6:30.
Okay.
6:30 p.m. And then it'll go, through the night. So it's gonna be fun.
Is this a free event for everyone?
It is. They do have to RSVP. So
okay.
If they can just, they can follow, I think on the America's Real Estate Show, or you can follow me, Carlos Parra. I think I'm Carlos Parra Jr. on Instagram. And they can get the RSVP link there. And it's a free event.
Any agent can go, any brokerage can come?
Any agent can come. Anyone in the real estate world can come.
So tell everyone again what the name of it is.
Yeah, this is the America's Real Estate Show, the CEO Mastermind Special Edition.
I love it. Carlos, thank you so much for jumping on today. Like, I'm so thankful that I can't even imagine just like your story. You go from 25 years in ministry, and then you end up and not knocking it, but end up driving Uber, you and your wife, just to figure things out because you couldn't find a way, but he always makes a way. And then look what you've amassed, because technically you started in real estate in 2020. So this is only May of 2026. Like, look what you've done. And that's something people never do in a lifetime.
Yeah.
You should be very proud of yourself, you and your wife. Yeah.
I mean, I think God has opened some tremendous doors for us. And, we'll always give credit to him 100%. We go and we do, and we put our part, and we allow him to do his part. And I think that's where we, as humans, we have to accept that part.
Yeah.
We can plant the seeds, but, we don't make it grow. He makes things grow. But we do.
But I think if anything, Carlos, any agent, because we have a lot of people that consumers listen to this, agents listen to this, but if anyone could take anything away from your story, it's that if you said it publicly, like you have no education, you don't even have a GED, nothing like that. So there's no excuses. If anyone can do it, you can do it. Over $1 billion in sales, y'all. That is a ridiculous amount of real estate transactions. Like, you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Carlos, and sharing with us. You guys follow Carlos. Definitely, he and his wife are doing big things. They're in Frisco, Texas. They're in the Dallas area. Go attend their event. Like, we love them. They're nothing. If you can't tell, they're nothing but good people, good souls in this, out there to make a difference in this world.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you, Carlos. Have an awesome day.
Thank you. Likewise.
Bye, guys.